Hello and happy Tuesday. I am Rachel Lovelace and I help overwhelmed moms create ease by simplifying meal times so they can calm the chaos of their everyday lives. And I'm here today, actually not about meal times, but to show you a quick snack. Excuse me just a minute. I can't remember if I had my inhaler this morning or not, and I don't want to take it twice. So here I am coughing, not knowing whether I should be or not. I got out all of our measuring implements, but I also managed to forget to get a spoon to scoop out this almond butter. So I'll be right back in a second. But we are making easy chocolate protein balls, is the recipe I have. But we are going to make it with our raspberry truffle, so chocolate raspberry protein powder, because I'm obsessed with it. It was the holiday release for Argonne, and it's so good that for like a month straight, it was all I had in my smoothies. I started mixing it up a little bit more now, getting myself back on a rotation of flavors, which keeps life a lot more interesting, but it is that good. I'm not kidding you. And it's still available as far as I know. So if you are looking for a wonderful, delicious protein smoothie mix that is gluten-free and dairy-free, would you please come off of there? Smooth and not gritty, and only natural flavors, then you should definitely give one of these a try. And I have little single serving samples of the chocolate and the vanilla, the basic ones that we've had forever. But if you're local, at least, I can bring you a little Ziploc bag with a single serving of this raspberry truffle if you want it. Okay. Getting my fingers a giant mess. So I have my food processor out here because I learned the best trick from a friend of mine. Many recipes for protein balls contain oats, and so if you're grain-free, obviously this is not the recipe for you, and that's okay. Everybody has different needs, but not only do I not always want that oat flake in my mouth when I'm eating, it also takes some serious muscle to mix up this wonderful thick almond butter in a dish. Even if you nuke it a little bit, warm it up so it's softer, it's still quite hard to get thoroughly mixed. And so my friend, Kim Smith, told me about using her food processor first to pulse the oats to turn them into almost oat flour. So you're still getting the benefit of them, but without the dry flakes that sometimes happen on your tongue. So we're going to pulse these oats right quick. I don't think I have it high enough. Oh yeah, nearly there. All right, so I don't have them a complete fine flour. That's not necessary, but they are quite small. Here, I'll show you the bucket. Quite small now instead of a whole cup full of big flakes. So 1 cup of gluten-free oats. Then we are going to add 1 1/4 cups of almond butter. And I love that the almond butter from from Costco is not only a bigger jar so it lasts longer, but it's actually not so hard to scoop out. It's a smoother, softer butter. The oil does still separate some, but it's a smoother, softer butter than some of the grocery store brands. And I love the way it tastes too. So, you know, win, win, win. All right. That is that. And if you don't have these Pampered Chef push out measurers for messy stuff, I highly recommend it. They are one of my favorite things. For less hassle in the kitchen. All right, 1/3 cup of raw honey. I think I'm gonna have to open this one too, yep. And I decided to make these protein balls because in my efforts to improve the way I'm taking care of myself this year, oops, it's farther than 1/3. I want to cut way back on processed foods in general and processed sugars especially, because they mess with so much about how your body functions, and they keep you hungry, craving them, coming back for more, filling up in the moment on things that don't keep you full for long. And generally feeling pretty awful because you're spiking and crashing and spiking and crashing. So, last thing is a 1/2 cup of chia seeds. Let me get this scoop out of the way. Last thing before the protein, I should say. And these are going to add a nice binding agent to help it all hold together. Sort of like an egg might do in a cookie recipe. And they actually have 2 grams of protein per tablespoon, and 4 grams of dietary fiber. So they're adding good elements and not adding yuck elements, and they will help you feel fuller longer because of that fiber. Next thing we want is 4 scoops of protein, and each scoop is actually a 1/4 cup. So if you're not using my brand, if you have a favorite that you already love and you're using that, then just know that it's 1 cup of protein powder. And you can measure yours that way. So, also, if you're like me and sounds really bother you, my mom bought me this, or my parents. I spoke to my mom about it. That's why I said mom. This food processor a couple of years ago for Christmas, because we had an itty bitty one that just blew my eardrums every time I used it. This is Braun. I can look up the model for you if you want, but basically it's super quiet even on high for a food processor or any kitchen tools. So I love that about it because it no longer bursts my eardrums, which is why I thought I'd go ahead and use it even on camera with you all. And hopefully it won't burst yours. I'm gonna let this do all of the mixing, and it's not done yet, but it needs a little help with the side scraping where I put in the almond butter. It wants to stick to the side instead of mixing in with everybody else. So get that a little. Better there. All right, my measuring might be just a little off. I'm going to add a tiny bit of water to help it finish mixing here. I'll start with that. That was probably a tablespoon. All right. That looks like about all we're going to get. But there you go. Definitely still holds together, even though I added the water, which is great. There's my blade out. And now all I have to do is get a little spoon, scoop them out, roll them into balls, or a small scoop, and plop them on a tray. You want to freeze them on a tray if you want them to not share with each other in the container you store them in. But otherwise, if you don't mind that a little bit, you just put the balls into an airtight container and store them in the fridge. But you can store them in the fridge, you can store them in the freezer. I found a recipe also for a lemon chia seed one that uses vanilla protein. So I'm probably going to make both and then freeze half of each and have half of each out so that we have the option of either tart or decadent when we want a snack, or because that's my problem. That was what I started to tell you, is that I have this goal and I work on it all day long. I do the best I can, and then after I get Morgan to bed at night, I end up hungry, so hungry, and wanting like brownies, something with a nice chew, something with chocolate. And I don't want to make brownies because that would crash my progress all day long, unless I made the Arbonne brownies. But if she hears me turning on even the toaster oven, she will be out here wanting to eat as well instead of sleep. So you get it, right? Mom problems, standard mom problems. So these will solve the baking late at night issue, the wanting for chocolate issue, and the not wanting to crash my daily progress issue, without me having to settle for some kind of snack bar that isn't really as healthy as it claims to be, that isn't that is still also processed food and processed whatever's in it. and that taste like cardboard in my mouth. These taste amazing. So I hope that you will try them. Please shoot me a picture of your final results if you do try them. And you really only want about that much per ball that you're making. And that way you can just pop it in your mouth. You don't have to sit there and hold it and get your fingers all sticky like I am. But, you know, 1, maybe 2, and you're satisfied because you've got the healthy fat of the almond butter, you've got protein, you've got fiber, you've got all the necessary ingredients to make your body and your belly happy, and your taste buds too. So have a delicious week, and I will see you next Tuesday.